What was the most messed up thing you saw at your school? Some kids were punching a mason jar lid that we used to seal a jar with some bug in it. They were doing it as some sort of who's tougher test. When the teacher sees this and sees they have small scratches on their knuckles, she proceeds to tell them that the big was poisonous, and they will die very soon since they drew blood punching the lid. We were maybe 10 at the time. She made them write goodbye notes to their parents and make goodbye speeches to class. We were all tripping because we believed her too. It was wild. This sounds like something my brother would tell me when we were kids, such as the recorded bear growls played on a local bear-themed amusement park ride were real audio recordings of a man being mauled by a bear. The condensation on the windows in a bus we were on might build up so much that we would drown before we got where we were going. The dead scorpion encased in epoxy he had in his room was actually alive, and he could free it somehow and send it at me if I annoyed him too much. Those rockets on display at the Space Museum? They forgot to drain the fuel, so if you stand underneath them there's a chance they will ignite and turn you into charred bits. And of course the classic, if you accidentally eat an apple seed you'll slowly die and become an apple tree. Not so, but I did experience the aftermath. A kid at our school died once, while out on a school camp. They were way out in the Australian outback. The teachers made barbecue for the kids, and one of the boys, for some reason, ate the food kebabs, without asking what was in them, even though his parents had filled out his permission form indicating clearly that he had food allergies. Long story short, hardcore anaphylaxis. Throat swelled shut, fell to the ground, foaming. School nurse stabbed him with every single EpiPen they had in the medical kit. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Fuck all happened. Picked him up, threw him in the van, and sped out of the campsite at top speed down the road. They were so far out in the middle of nowhere that there's no phone reception. Can't do anything. Can't call for an ambulance, helicopter, nothing. Finally got to the nearest town, called emergency services. Helicopter arrived, loaded the kid onto it, started treatment, flew straight back to town. Never made it. Dead before the chopper landed. I was working at the school at the time. I had a job offered by the school to graduates, which I accepted, and found out all the details from the school nurse. That's so fucking sad. It was all that anybody talked about for months afterwards. I was working on the school's first aid staff at the time, so we got to hear the full, unfiltered story about what happened. After that, we, first aid officers, all had to learn how to administer adrenaline, even though technically it was illegal for us to do so, since it was beyond the scope of our official training. The school decided that it was more important for us to learn how to treat anaphylaxis rather than worry about red tape, though. The bullied kid, other than myself, absolutely losing his goddamn mind, and beating the hell out of his bully. There was blood everywhere, mostly on the kid. He was punching, he was kicking. No lying, he almost killed him. Broke several ribs, several fingers, his ankle, jaw. Apparently he had a ton of mental health issues, and deliberately stopped taking his meds just so he was unhinged enough to do that to the bully. People talked about it for years after it happened. A buddy of mine became a teacher there. It still apparently gets mentioned. It's like a folktale, over 18 years later. What happened to the bully and Mike Tyson? People did make that connection then too. The bully was out of school for a long time, came back for a few weeks, apparently had some kind of PTSD, and then his parents pulled him out of school and homeschooled him. The kid, people aren't sure. He was immediately expelled. The other kid's parents wanted to press charges. No one really saw him again afterwards. I understand he was expelled, even though he should have beat his ass since none of the school staff would even do anything regarding bullying. But why the hell was the bully not expelled? The fuck? As someone who was bullied for years as a kid, I can tell you, a good bully will be very good at flipping the script to make themselves out to be the real victim. Someone used a deer carcass to tie the front doors together so no one could get into school. 2 things. I saw a girl bite another girl's nipple off in a fight. I also walked into a bathroom while a mentally disabled kid was peeing at the urinal with his pants around his ankles and freestyle rapping. A new kid at our school grabbed the art teacher's scissors and threw them over a dividing wall when the teacher left the room. They hit some girl in a different art class on the other side and one of the blades went through her cheek. We were held after class until he finally confessed, and we saw the police at the school later. He had been at our school for about a week, and we never saw him again after that day. The ambulance in front of the school because two guys glued their eyelids shut with a quick-dry adhesive. Bright and early in the morning as many kids are arriving to school. Pretty popular guy comes running through the crowd, chased by a group of 3 other dudes. A little bit of space opens up for them to run through, but all of a sudden one of the chasers stops, pulls out a gun, and fires 3 right into his back. Murdered, right in front of a significant chunk of students. Very sad day. My gym teacher also taught health education. He would sit at the front of the class in his mesh shorts and no boxers and teach us about sex education. His dick would sometimes be visible. We had a class of 40 boys and 6 girls, and apparently us girls were pretty naive cause we all brushed it off as a repetitive accident. In hindsight, as an adult, that a-hole was showing his penis to teenagers on purpose, and we were all too dumb and scared to realize. He was real handsy in gym too. It's not the worst story but still super gross. Gym teachers seem to have a high instance of creep pedophile. One year we had a new student move in mid-year during the gymnastics units, and the one gym teacher was handsy with girls, allegedly, trying to show them proper technique. She fucking slapped him across the face and told him not to ever touch her, or any other girl, without explicit permission. They tried to suspend her, but apparently the reason her family moved is she was a survivor of sexual assault at her old school and they wanted a fresh start. And they'd go right to the news with the story if that's how the school wanted to play it. School backed down. That gym teacher was noticeably more hands-off whenever she was in the class. As a guy I didn't really notice it because he wasn't handsy with us, but after that incident people paid more attention and yeah, dude was a fucking creep. I also had a PE teacher that was too handsy, 9 to 12 at the time. I said his name once when talking to my sister who was in high school and she's like, "What a fact, he was my PE teacher last year too, but he got fired for being inappropriate. They moved him to the elementary school." Yup. At an assembly in the auditorium, there was some kind of raffle. The kid who won was gay, maybe 1 out of the 5 or so openly gay kids in my school of 500 plus students. All of those kids were bullied and made fun of for being gay. Anyway, when they called his name, and he came up on stage, it seemed like practically the entire auditorium was booing him. He went up, grabbed whatever it was he won, and flipped the middle finger to everybody in the room. He got suspended for that. This would have been around 08-09. Worth it. This seriously terrible girl who always smelled bad and screamed at people that she was a witch, and she'd curse you, kept bugging my buddy to sell her his Ritalin. He told her no a whole bunch of times, but finally about a week before the school year ended he needed money for something and finally agreed. She immediately went to the administration who called the police, and he was both expelled and ended up in juvie. As far as I know, she's still an insufferable piece of trash almost 30 years later. We had a teammate drop dead mid-run during basketball practice in 8th grade. It turned out he had an undiagnosed heart defect, and he just had a sudden heart attack with no warnings. Was in computer class and the dude next to me, who was a big Bible thumper, was masturbating into his Bible. He got suspended for a week. A week later walked into the library and he was in there crying while masturbating into his Bible again. Once saw a teacher fully dump out a teenage girl's bag because he was convinced she stole one of his pens, exposing her pads, tampons, phone, hairbrush, etc., also her diary which some random kid picked up and started reading out loud while laughing, exposing her life at home where her mom and dad are mentally abusive towards her. All the kids made fun of her, and the teacher was just screaming her about a freaking pen. She ran out and about 20 minutes later the teacher found the pen under his papers. She transferred schools. Teacher broke a lot of laws. Poor kid. They need to be taught their rights. At my high school there was this stairwell that people would go fool around in. It got to the point where it was called Blowjob Corner. Almost 30 years later my son goes to that school. I made a joke to him about staying away from the seaside stairs near the cafeteria and he said, "You mean Blowjob Corner? They put cameras in because of that." Cut to me with surprised Pikachu face. The circle of life. A friend's sister drowned because her mother was on her smartphone and didn't keep an eye on her. A jeep ended up in the swimming pool. The student crashed through the wall during lunch. Rumors about DUI flew, but never did find out exactly what happened. Some dude filled up a used toilet with like 100 photos of Fat Albert. I told my friends when I got back, and one by one they all went to the bathroom and came back laughing. Good times. When I was at 1 to 2 grades, we had this extremely friendly janitor, who could be found in his small office, and he would close the door and give you some candies. I heard about this, and never believed my friends, but I decided to go see him on one of the breaks. I know what you think, but stay with me. I knocked, he opened and asked me what my name was, and what I would like to do when I grow up. He gave me 2 candies and said thank you for visiting. Yep, just a normal dude who likes kids. Also, we had computer class where we were taught stuff like Paint, Word, PowerPoint. We had about 20 Pentium 1 computers. One day, all the computers were gone, disappeared. And so was he, the candy-giving nice dude. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.